The estate lawyer slid a small brass key across the mahogany table. My half-brothers actually laughed. A storage locker, Marcus said, shaking his head. Classic. They'd just inherited everything. The house in Coral Springs, $1.2 million. Dad's car collection, $340,000. The investment portfolio, $2.8 million. Combined value, over $4 million. The one filled with what she said was junk he refused to throw away. The lawyer handed me the key with a sealed envelope. Dad's handwriting on the front. Open this before you open the storage unit. Trust me, Hija. I took the key. I didn't argue. I left that office humiliated. Drove home in silence. Sat in my apartment staring at that key for 2 hours. Then I called Sam. Sam Rodriguez, Uncle Sam. Everyone at work calls him. Has been at the warehouse with me for 6 years. He's 63. Seen everything. When I told him what happened at the will reading, his exact words were, "Don't open that storage unit until I'm there with you. And whatever you do, don't sign anything your brothers send you." 3 days later, Sam and I stood in front of storage unit 447. When we opened that door, my stepmom hated that. She wanted him to pick her sons over me. She tried for 15 years to push me out. And at that will reading, I thought she'd won. Okay, let me tell you what was in that storage unit. Because when my brothers found out, and they did find out, they tried to contest the will. And the judge's response, it's still one of my favorite memories. My name is Sofia Martinez. I'm 28 years old. I work night shift as a warehouse supervisor at Riverside Distribution in Coral Springs, Florida. My father, Roberto Martinez, died of a heart attack 4 months ago. He was 67, healthy until he wasn't. He had 2 sons from his first marriage, Marcus and David, and after his divorce, he met my mother. They had me. My mother died when I was 12. Cancer, breast cancer that spread faster than the doctors expected. 3 years after Mom died, my dad married Victoria. Victoria had money. Victoria had class. Victoria hated that I existed. Make my dad forget I was his daughter too. Make my half-brothers Marcus and David, 7 and 9 years older than me, treat me like hired help when I visited. Sofia, can you get us drinks? Sofia, we're having an adult conversation. Sofia, maybe you should go home. This is family time. I was family, but I was never treated like it. Marcus became a real estate developer. David went into finance. Both married women who looked like younger versions of Victoria, polished, cold, obsessed with appearance. I went to community college, got my associate's degree in business administration, started working at Riverside Distribution, the same warehouse where my dad had worked for 30 years before retiring. Victoria called it settling for manual labor. Marcus called it a phase I'd grew out of. David stopped asking about my life entirely, but my dad was proud. He'd come visit me at work sometimes, bring me lunch, walk the floor with me, pointing out things I should pay attention to. They've been friends, real friends, the kind who had each other's backs through divorces and sick kids and bad managers. When my dad retired 5 years ago, Sam stayed. And when I started working there 6 years ago, fresh out of community college, 22 years old, scared I'd screw up, Sam took me under his wing. He taught me everything. How to manage a team without being a tyrant. How to deal with difficult vendors. How to read people really read them. See what they're not saying. Your father was the smartest man I ever met. Sam told me once, you've got his blood. Use it. I did. Within 3 years, I was promoted to night shift supervisor, managing 47 employees. Handling logistics for one of the busiest distribution centers in South Florida, making $67,000 a year, not rich, but comfortable. Victoria called it cute when she found out about my promotion. Marcus said, that's nice, Sofia. Maybe you'll work up to management eventually. Never defended me when Marcus or David made their little comment. Just squeezed my hand under the table and changed the subject. I used to think he was weak, that he cared more about keeping peace with Victoria than standing up for me. I was wrong. He wasn't weak. He was strategic. The will reading was on a Wednesday. 10 days after the funeral, the lawyer's office, mahogany desk. Coffee in fine china cups nobody touched. Everything designed to look expensive and intimidating. Victoria sat in black, elegant, composed, like always. Marcus and David, expensive suit. Watches that cost more than my car. Looking bored, like they had better places to be. I wore black pants from work and a blouse I'd bought at Target. I felt underdressed, out of place. To my son, Marcus Antonio Martinez, I leave the family home at 847 Ocean Drive, Coral Springs, Florida, and all its content. Marcus nodded, expected. To my son, David Roberto Martinez, I leave my vehicle collection, including the 1967 Mustang, the 2019 Mercedes, and the 2021 Tesla, as well as the contents of my personal garage. David smiled slightly, also expected. To my wife, Victoria Elena Martinez, I leave my investment portfolio currently held with Merrill Lynch, valued at approximately $2.8 million. And to Sofia Isabel Martinez, my daughter, I leaned forward, heart pounding. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Maybe he'd left me something meaningful, a piece of jewelry, some savings, something that said I mattered. I leave the contents of storage unit 447 at Riverside Self-Storage, located at 1847 Commercial Boulevard, key enclosed, silence. Then Marcus laughed, out loud. A genuine, delighted laugh. A storage unit, he said, looking at David. Are you kidding me? David was smiling too. The junk locker, Dad's famous junk locker. Victoria didn't laugh. She made a sympathetic face, the kind that's worse than mockery because it pretends to be kind. Oh, Sofia, honey, she said, voice dripping with false concern. Maybe there are some old tools in there you can sell. Get a little money to help with things. She meant my life, my cute job, my Target clothes. Mr. Henderson handed me the key. It was small, brass, attached to a keychain that said 447 in permanent marker, and a sealed envelope, my father's handwriting. Open this before you open the storage unit. Trust me, Hija. Is that it? I asked, voice small. David, I'll call you about the house paperwork. They were already making plans, dividing what they'd inherited. Walked out of that office with my cheap purse and my storage unit inheritance while my brothers discussed selling Dad's cars. I sat in my Honda Civic in the parking lot for 20 minutes. Just sat there, staring at that brass key. $4 million split between 3 people. And I got a key to a storage unit filled with junk. The envelope felt heavy in my hand. I didn't open it. Not yet. I couldn't. I drove home in complete silence. Didn't turn on the radio. Didn't cry. Just drove. My apartment, a 1-bedroom I'd been renting for 3 years, felt emptier than. I set the key on my kitchen table and stared at it. It was 3:47 in the afternoon. My shift started at 11 p.m. I picked up my phone and called Sam. They got everything, house, cars, money. I got a storage. Long silence on the other end. The unit your dad had at Riverside Self-Storage? You knew about it? Knew it existed. Your dad mentioned it a few times over the years. Never let anyone inside, not Victoria. Not the boys, nobody. Sam, it's just junk. Old furniture, probably, tools, stuff he should have thrown away decades ago. Sofia, his voice got serious. Listen to what I'm about to say. Do not open that storage unit until I'm there with you. And whatever your brothers send you to sign contracts, paperwork, anything, don't sign it. Understood? Why? Because your father wasn't stupid. Your dad and I talked about estate planning once. He said he had a plan. I looked at it, still sealed on my table. Not yet. Open it. Read it and call me back. I'll come over if you need me. It's Wednesday. You work tomorrow morning. Sofia, I'm 63. I've got more sick days than I know what to do with. Read the envelope. Call me. He hung up. I stared at the envelope for another hour. The handwriting, Dad's careful print, the way he wrote when he wanted something to be clear, looked back at me. Trust me, Hija. When had I ever not trusted him? Saturday morning, 3 days after the will reading. I carried that envelope in my purse for 72 hours. Hadn't opened it. Couldn't make myself. Why? I don't know. Maybe I was scared. Scared it would be an explanation of why he'd given me so little. Scared it would be an apology. Scared it would confirm what I'd felt sitting in that lawyer's office, that I didn't matter as much as Marcus and David. Sam arrived at my apartment at 9 a.m., Brought coffee and donuts from the Cuban bakery on 27. Ready? He asked. I wasn't, but I opened it anyway. Inside, two things. First, a business card. Henderson and Associates Estate Planning with a handwritten note on the back. Call me before opening the unit. John Henderson. 3 pages. Handwritten. I haven't cried much since Dad died. I cried at the funeral, couldn't help it. But after that, I've been numb. Going through motions. Working, sleeping, existing. Reading that letter, I broke. Sam sat quiet on my couch while I read it out loud, voice shaking. My dearest Sofia, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I know what just happened at the will reading. I know Victoria got the money, Marcus got the house, David got the cars, and you got a key to what they all think is a storage unit full of junk. Let me tell you a secret, Hija. I let them think they were winning. For 15 years, since your mother died, Victoria has been working on me, convincing me that Marcus and David deserve more because they're businessmen, because they're from my first marriage, because they're responsible. I let her think I agreed. But while she was planning how to divide my fortune, I was building something she'd never know existed. The storage unit, Sofia. It's not junk. It's your real inheritance. Inside you'll find property deeds for Martinez Properties, LLC. Stock certificates for 3 companies I co-founded in the 1990s. Something only you will understand. Total value, approximately $6.7 million. Here's the trick. It's all in the name of an LLC, a company I created, but that legally belongs to you. Victoria can't touch it. Marcus and David can't contest it, because technically, I didn't leave you anything in the will. The storage unit is just a storage unit. What's inside it, the documents proving you already own these things for years, that's different. Mr. Henderson knows. He helped me structure this. I transferred ownership of the warehouse to Martinez Properties, LLC. Then I made you the sole owner of the LLC. You've been the owner of your own workplace for 5 years, Hija. You just didn't know it. Small enough that Victoria never noticed. Careful enough that it was legal. By the time she realized anything was wrong, if she ever does, it'll be too late. It's not part of my estate. It was never mine to give away in a will. It's been yours for years. Sofia, you were always my favorite. Not because Marcus and David are bad sons, they're not. But because you're like me, hardworking, humble, real. Victoria tried to make you feel small. I let her think she succeeded. Call him. He'll explain your rights, your ownership, everything. The storage unit has the original paperwork. Keep it safe. You'll need it if your brothers try to challenge this, and they will try. One more thing. There's a blue box in the back right corner of the unit. Open it alone when you're ready. It's not about money or property. It's just for you, for me. I love you, Sofia. I always have. I always will. You were never the consolation prize. You were always the point. Can't do me more, Papa. I couldn't breathe when I finished reading. Sam had tears in his eyes too. He didn't try to hide them. I read the letter again, then again, trying to make it real, trying to believe what it was saying. I own the warehouse where I worked, the building I walked into 5 nights a week, supervising shipments and managing teams. I owned it, and properties, investment. $6.7 million. We need to call the lawyer, Sam said. It's Saturday. There's a personal number on that card. Call it. I was expecting your call. You knew. At the will reading, you knew. I did. Your father's instructions were very specific. I was to read the will exactly as written, give you the key and envelope, and wait for you to contact me. Why didn't you tell me then? Why let me sit there while they laughed? The moment I revealed anything, the game would be over. Today, I can meet you Monday morning, 9 a.m., my office. Bring the letter. I'll need to photograph it for your file. What about the storage unit? Don't open it until after we meet. Once you open it, the clock starts. Right now, as far as anyone knows, you inherited an old storage unit. Once you open it and see what's inside, everything changes. I hung up. And I just found out he spent years planning to give me everything. All those dinners where I stayed quiet while they treated me like garbage. All those times Victoria made comments about my little job and I just took it And Dad never said anything, because if he had, she would have known something was up. Never gave her a reason to suspect he was moving assets. Different room than the will reading, smaller, more personal. Windows overlooking downtown Coral Springs. Mr. Henderson looked different too, not cold and formal. He was smiling. Miss Martinez, Mr. Rodriguez, please sit. I put my father's letter on his desk. You knew I said. I did. Your father hired me 7 years ago to structure this. It was one of the most elegant estate plans I've ever created. He opened a folder, pulled out documents. Martinez Properties, LLC was established 7 years ago, currently valued at $2.1 million. Transferred to the LLC 5 years ago, 0 mortgage. I stared at the deed. My name, well, the LLC's name, but I owned the LLC. Second, a commercial property in Hialeah, 4 retail units. Your father was an early investor in 3 tech companies in the 1990s. 2 failed. He pulled out a calculator. Total asset value, $6.71 million. Annual rental income from the properties, approximately $122,000 before expenses and taxes. I couldn't speak. Sam whistled low. Roberto was a genius. He was strategic, Mr. Henderson said, and importantly, he did this legally. Every transfer was documented. Every asset was properly valued. Every tax was paid. There's no fraud here. Just very, very careful planning. But the storage unit contains all the original paperwork, deeds, stock certificates, insurance policies, title, everything. You'll need those documents if when your brothers challenge that. Can they challenge? They can try. But here's the beauty of what your father did. He didn't leave you these assets in his will. That's why they weren't mentioned in the reading. Legally, he'd already given them to you years ago. The storage unit is just where he kept the proof. So I've owned the warehouse where I work for 5 years? Correct. You've been the landlord the entire time. Riverside Distribution, the company that operates the warehouse, pays rent to Martinez Properties, LLC, which pays you how much rent? $8,500 monthly. It's been auto-depositing into the LLC's business account for 5 years. My brain couldn't process the math. $8,500 a month for 5 years, 60 months. That's over $500,000, Sam said quietly. $510,000, Mr. Henderson confirmed. Sitting in the LLC's account, your father never touched it. He wanted it to build up. Left instructions that it was for you to use however you wanted, reinvest, save, spend. It's yours. I put my head in my hands. Why didn't he tell me? Victoria, Mr. Henderson said simply. She monitors everything. Your father was certain she was tracking his finances. If he told you, you might have accidentally revealed something. So he let me think I was nothing. Henderson slid a key across the desk. This is the key to the LLC's business checking account. You'll need it to access funds. I also have papers for you to sign formal transfer documents, proof of ownership, updated business licenses. The LLC is yours. Has been for years. But now we need to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. What happens when Marcus and David find out? They'll be furious. They'll hire lawyers. But Miss Martinez, there's nothing to contest. This isn't estate inheritance. These assets weren't your father's to give away in a will. They belong to the LLC, and you've been the owner of the LLC for 7 years. Did Dad know he was going to die? No, but he knew Victoria would outlive him statistically likely given their ages. And he knew the moment he died, she'd take everything she could. So he made sure she couldn't take what mattered most. Me, you, and the legacy he built for you. I signed the papers, all of them. My hand shook through every signature, but I signed. When we finished, Mr. Henderson handed me a manila envelope. This contains keys to all the properties, account information for the LLC, day or night. When your brothers find out, and I'm not saying if, I'm saying when you'll need a lawyer, I'm already yours. What do I owe you? Your father paid me 7 years ago. Retainer plus a bonus. He said, when Sofia needs you, I want you available immediately, whatever it costs. I looked at Sam. I need to see the storage unit. You sure you're ready? No, but I need to see it anyway. Wednesday afternoon. Sam and I stood in front of Unit 447 at Riverside Self-Storage. The facility was clean, climate-controlled, expensive. My dad had been paying $145 a month for this unit for 23 years. I'm sorry, I need to stop again. The lock clicked. I lifted the door. The unit wasn't big, 10 by 15 feet. Not furniture, not garbage. A workspace. On the left, a filing cabinet. Metal 4 drawers, each labeled properties, investments, insurance, personal. On the right, a desk, a chair, a laptop, clothes, picture frames. Me and Dad. Me at 6 years old, sitting on his shoulders at the beach. Me at 10, helping him fix a car engine in our garage. Me at 16, high school graduation. Me at 22, first day of work at the warehouse, wearing a Riverside distribution shirt, Dad's arm around my shoulders. Victoria wasn't in any of them. Marcus and David weren't either. Just us. Sofia, Sam said gently. The filing cabinet. I pulled myself together. Opened the first drawer, properties. Folder after folder, deeds. Titles, purchase agreements, maintenance records, stock certificates, quarterly statements going back to 1996. Papers documenting my dad's investment in DataStream Solutions. Letters from the company. Proxy voting information. The beneficiary, Martinez Properties, LLC, and a letter attached to each explaining why he'd structured it this way so Victoria accessed so it would go directly into the LLC and therefore to me. Fourth drawer, personal. This one made me cry. Letters, dozens of letters, all addressed to me. All dated over the last 7 years. Not mailed, never sent. Just written and stored. I pulled one out. Dated 3 years ago. Sofia, today you got promoted to shift supervisor. I was so proud. Wanted to call you, but Victoria was watching, always watching, so I'm writing instead. You care about people the way I tried to, but never quite managed. Sent you to remind me what matters. I sat on the floor of that storage unit with letters in my lap and cried. The blue box, I said. Sam nodded. You want me to step out? No, stay. It was shoebox sized, light, not locked. Inside a jewelry box, velvet, worn. I opened my mother's wedding. The one she'd worn for 12 years until she died. The one I thought Victoria had thrown away. A note underneath, this was always meant for you. Victoria wanted it. I told her it was lost. It wasn't. It's been here waiting for you. I put the ring on. My mother's ring. It fit perfectly. Sam smiled. Your dad thought of everything. He did. We spent 3 hours in that unit. Sam photographed every document, every deed, every stock certificate, every letter. By the time we left, my phone had over 400 photos, proof of everything. Now what? I asked as we locked the unit. Now we wait, Sam said. Sofia, they're going to find out you own properties worth millions. They're going to find out your dad hid it from them deliberately. You don't have to want to fight. But they're going to bring the fight to you. He was right. 2 weeks later, Marcus called me. I was at work at my warehouse. I still couldn't get used to that when my phone rang. 1:47 a.m., middle of my shift. Sofia, it's Marcus. Hey, what's up? I need to ask you something. About Dad's finances. My heart rate picked up. Okay, I was going through Dad's old tax return. Victoria asked me to make sure everything was filed properly. And I found something weird. What? A business. Martinez Properties, LLC. Dad was paying taxes on it for years, but it's not in the will. It's not in any of the estate documents. Okay. Do you know anything about it? I thought about lying, about playing dumb. But Mr. Henderson had warned me the truth would come out eventually. Might as well control when. Yeah, I said. I know about it. Silence. You know about it. Yeah. Sofia, this LLC owns property, plural. I'm looking at tax documents right now. There's a warehouse, commercial real estate, rental property. I know. How do you know? Because I own it. Dad transferred it to me 7 years ago. The storage unit he left me. Sofia, those properties are worth millions. I know. He gave you millions of dollars and left us the house and cars. He gave me the LLC 7 years ago. before he died. Legally, it wasn't part of his estate. It was already mine. I heard Marcus talking to someone in the background. David, probably. We're going to challenge this. You can try. But Mr. Henderson said it's ironclad. Dad did everything legally. It's been mine for years. This is insane. You're a warehouse supervisor. What are you going to do with commercial properties? Probably keep supervising the warehouse. Since I own it. You own Wait. You own Riverside Distribution? I own the building. The company rents from me. Has been for 5 years. This is fraud. Dad was manipulated or confused, or he wasn't confused. He planned this for years. Ask Victoria, she's the one who pushed him. Pushed him to make sure his real sons got everything. Well, he did exactly what she asked. He left you everything she thought was valuable. The house, the cars, the money. And he left me everything she didn't know existed. Sophia, you can't. I can't. And I'm going to. If you want to challenge it, hire a lawyer. Mr. Henderson is already mine. He'll send you copies of all the transfer documents if you want. Proof that everything was done legally. But Marcus, you're not getting this. Dad made sure of that. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Sam, who had been standing nearby listening, nodded approval. Good, he said. You stood your ground. Cease and desist from claiming ownership of assets belonging to the estate of Roberto Martinez. Notice of intent to file lawsuit for fraud and undue influence. I called Mr. Henderson. They're hoping you'll get scared and back down. Will they actually sue? Probably. But Sophia, listen to me. They have no case. Your father transferred those assets years before he died. While he was healthy, mentally competent, and with proper legal documentation, there's no fraud, no undue influence. Sofia Martinez and the estate of Roberto Martinez. They alleged fraud, mental incompetence, undue influence, and breach of fiduciary duty. None of it true. All of it ugly. Mr. Henderson filed a motion to dismiss. Every piece of proof that the assets had been legally transferred years before Dad died. The judge scheduled a hearing for 6 weeks out. Sometimes angry, yelling about how I manipulated Dad. Sometimes fake nice, offering to settle if I just give them half. Victoria sent emails, long ones, about family, about loyalty, about how disappointed Dad would be that I was tearing the family apart. David showed up at the warehouse one night. 2 a.m., walked right onto the floor. We need to talk, he said. I had him escorted out by security, at my building. It felt powerful and awful at the same time. Sam kept me grounded. They're desperate, he said. People don't fight this hard unless they know they're losing. The hearing was on a Thursday, December 14th, 10 weeks after the will reading. Mr. Henderson told me not to dress up. Their lawyer, some guy from a big Miami firm, looked expensive and condescending. The judge was a woman, late 50s. Reading glasses, no nonsense expression. This is a motion to dismiss, she said. Mr. Henderson, you represent the defendant? I do, Your Honor. And you're arguing there's no case here because the assets in question weren't part of Mr. Martinez's estate? Correct. They'd been transferred to Martinez Properties, LLC years before his death. The LLC's sole owner is Miss Sofia Martinez. Has been for 7 years. The judge looked at the stack of documents. And these are the transfer papers? Yes, Your Honor. All properly executed. All properly filed with the county. That Miss Martinez manipulated her elderly father. Elderly? The judge interrupted. Mr. Martinez was 67 when he died. The transfers began when he was 60. That's not elderly. That's middle age. Nevertheless, we believe. Do you have any evidence of mental incompetence? Medical record? Testimony from his doctors? We're still gathering. So no. Do you have evidence of coercion? Threats? Proof that Miss Martinez forced her father to transfer these assets? The circumstances are suspicious. Suspicious isn't evidence. Mr. Henderson, how long have you represented Mr. Martinez? 7 years, Your Honor, since the LLC was established. And in your professional opinion, was he of sound mind when these transfers were executed? Absolutely. He was sharp, detail-oriented, and very clear about his intentions. He wanted to ensure his daughter was taken care of. He structured it this way deliberately. The judge looked at me. She looked back at Marcus and David. Gentlemen, your father gave you a house worth over $1 million, vehicles worth hundreds of thousands, and left your stepmother near $3 million investment. You're fighting over assets he'd already given your sister years ago. Assets that legally weren't his to distribute in his will. This looks less like fraud and more like buyer's remorse. Marcus's lawyer tried to respond, but the judge held up her hand. Motion to dismiss is granted. This case is dismissed. Bang, gavel, over. I walked out of that courtroom with Sam beside me and Mr. Henderson shaking. Your father would be proud, Henderson said. Marcus and David wouldn't look at me. Victoria stared, face tight with rage. You turned him against us, he said. No, you did that yourselves. 15 years of making him choose between keeping peace with Victoria and defending me. He chose peace, but he never forgot who actually cared about him. We cared. You cared about his money? When's the last time you visited him? When's the last time you asked how he was doing? I have lunch with him every week. Even when Victoria made it clear I wasn't welcome, I showed up because you wanted the inheritance. I didn't know there was an inheritance. Marcus, I thought I was getting nothing. I showed up because he was my dad and I loved him. You showed up when you needed something. David joined us. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. The judge said so. You got what Victoria wanted you to have. And for the first time, I didn't feel smaller than them. That was 8 months ago. Today, I'm still a night shift supervisor at Riverside Distribution, still wear the same polo shirt, still manage the same team, but I also own the building and 3 other properties, and investments worth nearly $2 million. The rental income, about $10,000 a month after expenses, goes into savings. I'm building it, growing it, doing what Dad taught me to do. I haven't quit my job. People ask why, if you're a millionaire, why are you still working night shift? Because I like it. Because I'm good at it. Because my team depends on me. And because my dad worked that same floor for 30 years. It means something to me to be there. Victoria doesn't speak to me. Marcus and David tried a few more times to get me to do the right thing and share the inheritance. I blocked their numbers. I sold the Hialeah property last month. Got $920,000 for it. Paid off my student loans, $18,000 that had been hanging over me for 6 years. Bought a house, a small one, 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy, and I'm starting a scholarship for community college students in Coral Springs, $50,000 a year. For kids like I was working class, first generation, trying to get an education while working full. I'm calling it the Roberto Martinez Memorial Scholarship because my dad believed education mattered. Believed working hard mattered. Believed I mattered. And he spent the last 7 years of his life proving it. The blue box is on my dresser. My mother's ring on my hand. Letters from Dad in a drawer I read when I miss him, which is often. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional again. It's been months and I still reach for my phone sometimes to call him, to tell him about my day, to ask his advice. And then I remember he's not there, but in a way he is. Every property deed has his signature. Every stock certificate. Every carefully planned transfer. He's in every dollar I spend wisely. Every decision I make carefully. Every time I stand up for myself instead of staying small. Marcus called last week. First time in months. I was thinking maybe you could help. Like a loan. Family helping family. I almost laughed. You sued me 8 months ago. Called me a manipulator. Said I defrauded Dad. Now you want a loan? That was just legal stuff. We're still family? No, Marcus. We were never family. We were people who shared a father. There's a difference. Sofia, come on. Sell the house, downsize, get a job that pays better. Figure it out. That's what you told me to do my whole life, remember? When I was struggling to pay rent and working night shift, you told me to figure it out. So figure it out. I hung up. Sam was proud. You're learning, he said. Learning what? That you don't owe people just because they're related to you. That family is what you build, not what you're born into. He's right. My real family is the team at work, who had a party where they found out I owned the building, who told me they always knew I was different but meant it as a compliment. Marcus, David, Victoria, they're strangers who happen to share my DNA. And I'm okay with that. Last week, I went back to the storage unit. I still pay for it $145 a month. Keep it exactly as Dad left it. Sometimes I sit at that desk, look at the pictures, read the letters. There's one I haven't mentioned yet. The last one he wrote, dated 2 weeks before he died. Sofia, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I hope you found everything. I hope you understand why I did it this way. Victoria was never going to let you have anything. So I played the long game, that I saw you, that I believed in you. I value you. You were always the point. Don't let them make you feel guilty for accepting what I wanted you to have. Don't let them convince you you're being selfish. You're not selfish. You're worthy. You were always worthy. I love you. I'm proud of you. And wherever I am now, I'm watching you become everything I always keep. Continue me amor. Papa, I read that letter when I need strength, when I doubt myself, when the weight of having millions of dollars in assets feels too heavy for a 28-year-old warehouse supervisor. And then I remember, my dad believed I could handle this. So I can. I'm Sofia Martinez. I'm 28 years old. I work night shift at a warehouse I own. My brother's got the mansion. I got a storage unit key. If you're listening to this and you're in a family that makes you feel small, that treats you like you don't matter, like you're less than like you're the problem, I want you to know something. You're not the problem. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love us can't see our value. That's their failure, not ours. And sometimes, like my dad, someone sees it even when they can't say it out loud. Someone is fighting for you in ways you don't know yet. Hold on. Keep showing up. Keep being you. The people who matter will make sure you know you matter, even if they have to wait until after they're gone to prove it. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it was long. I know it was heavy, but I needed to tell it. I needed to honor my dad by sharing what he did for me. If this helped even one person realize they're not alone, that families can be complicated, that inheritance isn't always fair, that being underestimated can be someone else's mistake, not yours, then it was worth sharing. Take care of yourselves. Stand up for yourselves. And remember, you're worthy. Even when people treat you like you're not, you're worthy.